4-2 your final here at FirstOntario Centre. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins over the Hamilton Bulldogs. Laura Barney with Derek Wills. Now, Derek, will start as always with your thoughts.
I thought the Hamilton Bulldogs played really well in the first period and even better in the third period, but I thought they lacked desperation after taking a 1-0 lead and certainly got themselves into penalty trouble late in the first period and then into the second period and give up some power play goals again. They had that 1-0 lead. They worked really hard to get it, and then a couple of power play goals by the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, and suddenly the Hamilton Bulldogs are back on their heels. The Pens are attacking. The Dogs are having a tough time getting out of their own zone, let alone getting into the offensive zone to do some damage there. So the second period was certainly the biggest problem for the Hamilton Bulldogs tonight. I'll tell you, if they could play with the level of desperation that they had in the third period tonight and the first and second periods of games, they'd be a very difficult team to beat. So they've got to find a way to bottle that desperation up and play with it for the rest of the regular season, because with 19 games remaining on the regular season schedule now, they're currently 9 points out of the 8th and final playoff spot in the Western Conference. They could be 11 by the end of the night. So do the math. It's not going to be easy for the Dogs to get in, and they're going to have to go on a really good run from now until the end of the season if they want to qualify for postseason play.
Now, Derek, I have to admit, I'm going to put you on the spot with this question, but why do you think that is? 2 nights in a row now we've seen the Bulldogs get out with that goal and then just come out in the second period a little bit more flat and losing that lead.
Well, I think the penalties certainly made them flat. They took some unnecessary penalties. And the funny thing is, you talked to Gabriel Dumont at the end of the first period, and he said we have to stop taking penalties. They have a really good power play, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins do, and he was right. They ended up scoring 2 power play goals in the second period, so the Hamilton Bulldogs didn't listen to his advice or the advice that I'm sure the coaches gave them before the hockey game. They've got to be more disciplined because they need to spend more time 5-on-5. They're a good 5-on-5 hockey club. Too much time on the penalty kill tonight. You wear out your best players when you're on the PK. You wear them down for when you're on the PP, so it's really just a disaster when you're taking penalties that are unnecessary, like many of the ones that they took tonight were. I think that's part of it, and they need to play with more desperation. When they take the lead, and they had a 1-0 lead last night, and again had a 1-0 lead tonight, I want to see them try to make it 2-0 and 3-0 and 4-0 and 5-0. When you look at what the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins did tonight, they tied the game at 1, and then they were in full-out attack mode. They wanted to make it 2-1, they did. They wanted to make it 3-1, they did. And then they tried to make it 4-1. They weren't comfortable with a 1-goal lead. They wanted a larger lead. And the Hamilton Bulldogs, I think, have to be more desperate. The danger is you don't want to risk things defensively to create things offensively. So I think there's a fine line there. I think they have a tough time finding where that line is from time to time. But desperation, that's my word of the day. They need to play with more desperation, and they need to do it from start to finish in hockey games, not for spurts in games.
Now, give us a little preview of what we can expect to see tomorrow. Of course, a very familiar enemy, I guess you could call it right now, the Lake Erie Monsters, whereas the Hamilton Bulldogs coming off 2 teams they haven't seen yet this season. Yeah,
an enemy is a good way to describe the Lake Erie Monsters, and they're an enemy for more teams than just the Hamilton Bulldogs. They were the Toronto Marlies' enemy in a home-and-home series on Friday and Saturday of this weekend. Between the 2 games, between the 2 teams, there were 19 fighting majors and almost 350 minutes in penalties. I think the Lake Erie Monsters probably will be close to being out of gas by the time they get here for the game against the Hamilton Bulldogs tomorrow. So I think it could be a chippy game because both teams are playing 3 games in 3 days. A little tougher 3-3 for Lake Erie because of the travel from Cleveland to Toronto to Hamilton. But the Monsters always a tough opponent for the Hamilton Bulldogs. With that said, the Dogs have found ways to win games against these guys this season. They're going to have to do that again tomorrow. They need a win this weekend. I hate using the term must win, especially with 19 games to go in the regular season. But to me, this is a must win for the Hamilton Bulldogs tomorrow. They've got to find a way to pick up 2 points. Like I said, they're right now 9 points out of a playoff spot. They could be 11 by the end of the night. They've got to get that back to 7 or to 9, depending on what happens elsewhere. And if they don't do that, they're going to be in a heap of trouble moving forward here.
All right, Derek, thank you very much for your thoughts as always. And now we're going to see what our coaches had to say.
I'm going to say first period we played pretty good. I think we did some good the hockey play, and we were like in the game and with a goal at the end of the power play, and I think things were going pretty good. Then I started second. They had a power play. They scored right off the bat, and I don't know, we kind of set back a little bit, and we gave a second one, and then we didn't play for maybe 5-7 minutes, and they scored a third one. So I'm not going to say like it happened before, but it did. And coming back in the third, we had a chance, to have a power play goal, and we tried to stay there in the game. We were a goal behind, and it was really like we tried to forecheck, but we couldn't apply pressure on their D. They played pretty well with the goalie, and they got a win.
We had a good first 20 minutes there, and then unfortunately, started the second. We started with a penalty kill, and they got a goal. They scored a good goal. The guy took a shot, and the guy in front tipped it. And there's not much you can do on that except try and get in the shooting lane. But that stuff happens. But we kind of sat back after that instead of just getting going. The teams are going to score on the power play, so we got to get over it when they get a goal, and we just got to rebound and find a way to keep playing.
We're starting to get goals on power play, but we have to figure it out how to not give any goals on PKs. And since I'm going to say like 10 games, we've been like not struggling, but close of not denying any passes in the like shooting lane, and we're giving like goals that I think we could prevent.
We just gotta find a way to battle through this. You can't get down. You just gotta keep going. And tomorrow's a new day. The sun's gonna come up, and we gotta find a way to get 2 points.